Novation is finally updating the circuit line with not one, but two what could be considered circuit 2s. As some of you probably guessed, I've known about this for a while and have been just waiting to talk about it. I unfortunately do not have circuits in hand. From what I understand, they don't have a ton of units yet, so that's coming. But Novation did give me a list of specs and features, and I've definitely got some thoughts on them and whether you should upgrade. So, as has been circulating via the leaks, there are going to be two new circuits, the Rhythm and Tracks. So let's talk about the Tracks first. The Tracks is going to be essentially a scaled up version of the circuit that we have now. Not in size, but in terms of its capabilities. It looks at what the now OG circuit had and says yes and. For instance, a lot of people love using the circuit as a central brain of a larger hardware setup. The new circuit Tracks has not only the polysynth tracks that the other one has, although it has 8 voices of polyphony instead of 6, it adds 2 dedicated MIDI tracks with custom CCs. That is the primary upgrade that is specific to the circuit Tracks, but there are a whole lot of other upgrades that pertain to both circuits, and I'm actually going to read out a quick list here. We now get Scene Chain, which people have been asking for a long time. There is Probability and Mutate Pattern. There is Tap Tempo, and a Master Compressor and Limiter, which is actually huge for me. As someone who comes kind of from the new school of electronic music production, I tend to commit the heinous sin of mastering as I mix, and I mix through mastering plugins like limiters. And so having a limiter actually built into the circuit will help me get a much better idea of how I should dial in my mix so nothing sticks out way too much. So when recording a live jam, I can be reasonably confident that it's going to be fairly polished and up to par with any other mastered song. One interesting change, maybe not an upgrade, but a lateral move, is the battery. So it's going to be a 4-hour rechargeable battery, which is definitely a little different. I can definitely understand the desire to move away from AA batteries. It does tend to consume them, so having a rechargeable battery might be nice. But on the other hand, it won't last nearly as long on a single charge. So that's a call that Novation has made, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects the user experience. I'm probably going to just leave mine plugged in all the time once I have them. One thing that's not changing is the Nova Synth engine. I know some people have been wondering about that, but no, they've confirmed it's still the Nova Synth engine, but you can get a lot more out of that than I think a lot of people are aware. Plus, with the 128 preset slots, we're going to have a lot more variety to work with. If you want even more variety in your sound, that's where the circuit Rhythm comes in. And while I definitely see the Tracks as a worthy upgrade, I see the Rhythm as an actual game changer. There are already self-contained portable devices that work with samples really well. The MC101 is pretty good at that, and then the MPC1 definitely comes to mind, although it's a bit more expensive. And there's also Electron's model samples, although I know very little about it. Regardless, this is Novation throwing their hat into the ring for the competition to make the best sample-based device, and the specs make it look pretty sweet. You've got 240 seconds of samples, not a ton, but not nothing. 8 sample tracks, the ability to flip samples chromatically, and even a sample auto slice, and you can tweak parameters of those slices after the fact. And you can sample audio directly into it and even resample audio. Plus, there is a beat repeat vinyl sim phaser, reverser, gator, auto filter, and digital lo-fi, all built into this thing. I'm incredibly excited to give it a go. Like, I'm a little bit bummed that I don't have one right now, but like, come on. That just looks very, very cool. So that's a quick rundown of the circuit specs that I have in front of me. And as to the question of whether you should upgrade, it depends on what you want to do. If you have the OG circuit right now and you're very happy with your experience, and maybe you want to use it self-contained and don't necessarily need to use it to run other synths, then the Tracks will be a good upgrade, but maybe not a huge step up, and it might be worth sticking with the OG circuit, at least for now, until we see more. And, of course, if you love the circuit workflow, but really want to work with samples and really sink your teeth into dealing with some samples, the Rhythm looks pretty incredible. In my mind, even though it's going to cost more than the OG circuit, that is an absolute no-brainer, and I can't wait to give it a go. As far as the fate of the OG circuit, I'm actually not sure what they're going to do with that. I'm hoping that they keep it in play as kind of a circuit light now, or at least a piece of music production hardware that is still absolutely fantastic and much easier to recommend to beginners because of its original price. So I'm hoping they keep that going as well and have like the holy trinity of circuits. But regardless, if you want to get some fantastic sounds for your circuit, be sure to hit up the link in the description for my $5 sample pack. It's got a ton of drum and synth one-shots that I've designed, and they're meant to be very versatile for a lot of modern styles of electronic music. And I've got a version of it that's optimized for the current circuit, and you better bet that I'll be adapting it for the new circuits as soon as I have access to components for it. So thank you so much. If you choose to get that, the link is in the description. But regardless, I will be back with a new video in a little bit. Thank you so much for watching.